Everybody, I'm gonna do one of my favorite hikes in the Smokies today, which is hiking up Clingmans Dome road, which is now named Kuwohi. So we got about 2 inches of snow on the ground, and we're gonna hike up about 7.5 miles up the road to Kuwohi, which, like I said, formerly known as Clingmans Dome. And so my objective today is to summit Mount Collins on the AT, which is about halfway up the road here, and then also summit Kuwohi. So those are 2 peaks of the South Beyond 6K challenge. So definitely one of my favorite hikes to do, definitely during the winter time. Probably I'd say this is my favorite winter hike in the Smokies, because really it's the only opportunity you get to hike up to Clingmans Dome and not have 20 trillion people up there. So really fun day. Gonna have a lot of super cool stuff to show you, and I'm excited to let you see what it looks like. All right, so really like a 1/10 of a mile up the road, I want to show you guys this at this water valve. We got a little kind of underpass here, so I want to show you this. It's actually a little tunnel down here, which is kind of cool. Can't remember the exact story here, like maybe, I think it was maybe part of the AT originally, and that was a way to kind of pass under the road. I don't know, you might want to fact check that one, but it was a cool little spot that not a lot of people know about. I'm gonna have to check and see if that's, I think that's deer, because you got the 2, I don't know, I gotta check, because you got the 2 little marks behind it and the 2 hooves. Somebody's been walking around up here. So your elevation to start's about a little over 5,000 feet. And we're gonna end up making it to over 6,600 on Clingmans Dome. So you kind of have 2 options of how you can do this. So I like to typically in the winter hike up the road, just because you can't really do that any other time. And obviously it's a much easier grade. You've got a lot of elevation gain, but it's pretty gradual and nice easy walking. So the road's basically parallel to the AT, and you're gonna have a lot more elevation gain and loss on the AT. And obviously, you know, it's a trail, so it's gonna be a little more rocky and rooty and a little slower going. So kind of what I do typically is hike the road most of the way, but kind of hop on the AT here and there just to kind of get a good snowy trail hike experience. But typically I like to just kind of stick to the road on this hike just for speed's sake. Really helps your day go a little faster. This guy's putting in some mileage. Been following him for about a half a mile. So we got about, we're probably like 2 inches of snow, which I do a ton of snow hiking. It's definitely my favorite type of hiking to do, but there definitely is kind of like a cutoff. So 2-3 inches is about perfect. And then, you know, I've done hiking in 1.5 feet of snow. Snow drifts at 2 feet, and that is super fun, but it is extremely difficult and just exhausting. So honestly, a day like today where it's a little bit warmer and you got, you know, just a little bit of snow, just enough to cover the ground. Makes for a really fun day because you kind of get the snow experience without just totally wiping yourself out. Some turkey tracks. These are some of my favorites. It's been busy up here on the road. Alright, so we're at 1.25 miles, and to the right you'll see the sign coming up. This is where the AT is going to junction with the road prong, and the road prong's a trail that'll lead you down to Chimney Tops Trail. And that's a fun little trail to do if you hike up past Chimneys. There's a lot of nice kind of cascades and a couple of creek crossings. That's super fun. But so the AT comes down right there and picks right back up through the trees, and then road prongs straight down that way, right behind the sign. So that makes for a good little day. You know, we got something here following our turkey tracks. I'd probably say it's coyote, but I haven't found a really clear track yet, but he just, whatever it is, scampered up right there. So I'll see if I can find a better track. I couldn't see a really clear paw print, but something was coming through. Got some really cool ice right there. We're about mile 2. I'm hoping the ice wall up here is still frozen. I'm trying to hurry and get up there before all this starts thawing out. It's getting pretty warm. But the ice wall is probably my favorite thing on this hike. So I'm excited to show that to you. Alright, so I'm gonna have to look these up. These might be, I thought this is what boar tracks look like, but I'm gonna have to verify that because it's 2 hooves, but it looks like front and back, kind of like right behind each other. Alright, we're at mile 2, a little over 2.5. So this is a spruce fir nature trail, and kind of what's significant about this is in the Smokies we have a type of salamander, red cheek salamander, only lives in the Smoky Mountains. And this is probably the best place I found in the park to find those guys. So my son Jackson and I came up here in the summer and found 15 of them just kind of around under the bark on that trail. So they love living in the spruce fir forest because it's damp and dark, and there's lots of shelter for them. So I'll drop a picture or a video in here to show you what they look like and show you some that we caught and released over the summer. But that's a really cool little hike to do, especially if you're driving up the road and you just want to kind of get out and walk around in the forest. We're definitely getting some deeper snow now. So we got probably around 3 inches of snow at this point. And we're at probably 5,600 or 5,700 feet, so still got some elevation to go. But it's definitely getting a little tougher. Okay, so I'm thinking now those paw prints I saw earlier might have been bobcat, because this is pretty clear. Coyote track right there. That's a pretty big guy. So I'm thinking where the other ones were so light in the snow and a little smaller, and I didn't have a really clear imprint, I'm thinking probably bobcat for those. Cause yeah, that's pretty clear, and those are a lot deeper and a much clearer print. All right, we're at mile 3.5, pretty much on the dot. Made it to Fork Ridge Trail. Now that's part of the Mountains to Sea Trail, which is super fun. Kind of starting from Clingmans Dome, and then you can hike down the AT and then hop across the road, Fork Ridge. Fork Ridge takes you down to Deep Creek. Really fun. I did it as a 2-day, 1-night. That was a really fun hike. So we're gonna hop on the AT. I know it's hard to tell. You got probably 3 or 4 car park and pull off right here. I'm gonna hop on the AT and head to the left, and that is gonna take us to Mount Collins. I'm gonna summit Mount Collins for the South Beyond 6K, and then what I'll do, we got our coyote friend with us somewhere up here. After that, I'm gonna hop back on the road just so I can get up to Clingmans Dome a little faster. But this is a really fun stretch of the AT. Really, honestly, here up to Clingmans Dome is a super fun stretch that I've done quite a few times, especially in the snow. As you can tell, it's really beautiful up here. I'll tell you one thing, hiking in the upper elevation and the spruce fir forest in the snow is my all-time favorite experience. So if you've never done it and you love hiking, it's something you got to do. It is awesome. All right, about a 1/4 mile in on the AT, you're going to hit the junction with Sugarland Mountain. So Mount Collins shelters down that way. Sugarland Mountain Trails, definitely my top 5 favorite hikes of the Smokies. Really cool hike with great views. All right, we're going to keep on the AT straight ahead, and probably another 1/4 mile or so should hit a spot where we can summit Mount Collins. And I have not done that before, so it's not very far off the trail, so it shouldn't be too hard to find today. All right, I'm at 4.2 total, and according to my coordinates, we're coming up on the summit of Mount Collins right here. And it looks like it's on the trail. Maybe right off the trail, just barely off. I'll see if I can find anything around here. This should be it. Here's a nice view from Mount Collins, just past the summit. Nice little open view. All right, I'm at mile 5, and I'm gonna hop back down on the road here, just so I can kind of speed my progress up. I love hiking on the AT, but it just kind of gets a little slow. And obviously the grade is not as easy, so it just kind of slows my pace down. Actually, great timing. We're coming up on a good view of Clingmans Dome, Kuwohi straight ahead. So we should have about 2 miles to the parking lot, and then we'll take the little 1/2 mile summit trail to the tower. And should have the ice wall coming up here shortly. So that'll probably be the next thing I show you on here. The snow is so powdery, it's like sand. Crazy. That's a nice partial view right there. Alright, so we're at mile, I've got 5.8 right here. We are just before Noland Divide trailhead. And this is called the ice wall. I was hoping it would still be good, and it is pretty good. I'll drop a picture from a couple of years ago. I was up here, it was about 5 degrees. And it was really good and frozen over. But really, honestly, even if you don't hike all the way up to Clingmans Dome Tower, this is a really cool place to hike up to. It's got about 150 yards of just frozen water runoff on the rock face there. Got a good view to the left. I'd say by the time I come down this afternoon, some of that'll be breaking off. That should be Mount Collins right there that we're looking at. Almost to the parking lot. And we're getting a little tough. We're probably ankle deep right now, so I guess somewhere between 3 and 4 inches of snow. Yeah, looks like about 3.5. So definitely getting tired. That's some cool ice formation right there. Alright, I'm at mile 7.5 and have reached Clingmans Dome parking lot. And if you've ever been up here, it is very eerie to be up here without 7 trillion people. But it's really honestly my favorite reason to hike up here in the winter, because I'll very likely be the only person up here. And that's a really cool experience. So some of the best views in the park, and I'll get some of those up here. count on it being windy up here. Alright, a lot of good views from the parking lot. But we're going to head up the little paved trail half a mile up to the tower, and that's going to be the official summit of Kuwohi. So we'll get a video going again once we get up there. Alright, we made it to the summit of Clingmans Dome, and I'm climbing the ramp up to the observation tower so we can enjoy the views. But it is super windy. Down at Gatlinburg right there, and then Mount LeConte, and to the right is the Smokies Crest, and then looking over this way and panning to the right is into North Carolina. Video. Should be straight ahead of us. And then back over this way, we're looking back to the west, back into Tennessee. Looking at Thunderhead. And then back around. Alright, so got both summits today, Mount Collins and Clingmans Dome. So we're going to head back down. I ended up with, I'm at a little over 8 miles right now and 2,100 feet elevation gain, so it's really nice. It's on the way down. It is cruise control on the road, so it'll be super smooth. I'll head back down hopefully. last look at the ice wall on the way down. Still going strong. Little raccoon tracks. Well, I've seen some of all kinds of tracks today. Pretty sure that's bear tracks. I mean, it's pretty big. I don't think I've ever seen bear tracks in the snow before. Alright, we're about to make it back to the end of the Clingmans Dome Road. So overall stats today, right at about 16 miles, about 6.5 hours total, and right under 2,400 feet elevation gain. Hey, I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I plan to do a lot of winter and snow hiking this season for 2025 and then going into 2026. So make sure you check it out and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.